Next, let's look at graphing linear equations using this y equals mx plus b. So remember, a linear equation is just a straight line. That's all a linear equation is. It's a straight line. Linear, if you look at it, the first four letters in it are make the word line. So if you can remember that and just that little clue, that will always kind of tell you what it means. So graphing lines, basically, when given an equation that is in this form. And we're going to do this the same way each time. So what I always do is I always look at these, right? We got a couple examples here and we got two on the next slide. Let's find my y-intercept first. Always start with your y-intercept. So your y-intercept tells you, basically, I'm either going up from the origin a certain amount or I'm going down from the origin. So this is saying I'm going up 2. So I'm going to go 1, 2, and I'm going to go up and I'm going to put my point right here. Okay, so that's my first point. Then the next thing to remember is you're going to start plotting your slope from that point. A common mistake is a lot of people go back to the origin, but we're not going back to the origin. We want to start from this y-intercept that you just plotted. So from there, we look at this and my slope is 2, right? And so if my slope is 2, another way of writing that is its slope is always rise over run, right? So if it's 2, that means it's 2 over 1. So if it's a whole number, write it as a fraction of itself over 1. So 2 over 1, and then 2 is your rise and 1 is your run. And so if it's positive, it means it goes up 2, and if it were negative, it would mean it would go down. So it's up 2, so I'm going to take this and I'm going to do this in another color. It means I'm going to go up 1, 2, and then I'm going to go over 1. So I'll go over 1, and then that's where my point is going to be. And I'm going to put my next point right here, and then it's just a matter of making your line, all right? And if I do this kind of right, it should look halfway decent, all right? And then that's it. All right, that's all you do. You find your y-intercept, and then you move to your second point from that y-intercept using the slope. All right, let's try this again. So we got a y-intercept of -3 right here. So let's go down to -3. So we go 1, 2, 3, right? That's where we're going to go, and we're going to put that point right here. If I can learn how to do this right. And then it's a slope of 2, right? So if the slope is 2, and we just talked about slope of 2, so it's 2 over 1, and it's positive, so that means it's going to be up 2 and then over 1. So we'll use pink again, so we'll go 1, 2, and then over 1 is right there. That's where my next point is located. I put my point there. I draw my line. Oops. All right, it's not letting me do that, so that's okay. We have ways of dealing with that. And we'll just leave it right there. Always make your lines so they take up most of the graph. Like the one over here, that's kind of like what I like to see. I have some people who make these lines that are like that, and it's, that doesn't give you enough information. So you want to make sure that it should take up the large graph. So if I were going to be picky, this should go up to there. All right, now let's do 2 more. Y plus x equals -3. Now the problem with this is if you look at the equation, y is not by itself. Y has x on that side with it. So let's rewrite it down here, and let's write this equation so that it looks like y equals mx plus b. So it looks something like that. All right, so let's start by getting rid of x. All right, let's move x over to the other side. Because we're adding it, we're going to do the opposite and subtract it. So that's going to give me y is equal to -3 minus x. And my coefficient on y is already 1. So I don't need to do anything weird with that. So I'm actually almost there. So the only thing I need to do is I should probably switch these places with these two. So as long as I keep the signs, I can do that. So y equals -x minus 3. And so now it's just a matter of recognizing what's the information here. Well, here's my y-intercept. Your y-intercept is always that b, that thing that's off to the side there. So -3 is my y-intercept. I'm going to go over to -3 and I'm going to put a point. All right? Then this is my slope, right? And I should probably do that in pink because that's been like our slope color. My slope is the number that's in front of the x. Well, there's not a number in front of the x. It's just a negative, right? So remember, if there's not a number there, it's 1. So my slope is -1. What that means is that's -1. God, these things just, they're everywhere. It's -1 over 1, which means that I go from this point and I go down 1 and I go over 1. And I have my second point. That's all I need. I just need 2 points. And remember what I said about making a nice long line. So make a nice long line. All right. And then put your arrows on there. And you're good to go. And if you look at it, that looks right because you got a negative slope. This is a negative slope. Your y-intercept's -3. There it is. And it's pretty good. All right, let's look at this last one. We have 1 equals y minus 2/3 x. Okay, first thing I want to do is y should be by itself. And it doesn't matter if it's on the right or the left, y should be by itself. So let's start by adding 2/3 x to both sides. All right, so that will give me 2/3 x plus 1, because this is positive, equals y. Now, this is almost in this form right up here. The only difference is that the y is on the right and the x and your slope and your y-intercept are on the left. So you can just rewrite it if you want and just swap places. You don't have to change anything with it. And you get that. Y equals 2/3 x plus 1. So my y-intercept is this right here. It's that b, right? You know, that's off by itself. So positive 1's right here. And then your slope is 2/3. Well, I actually kind of like the fractions for slope, all right? It's positive, so we're going to go up. And you go up and over, right? So it's a rise of 2 and a run of 3. So you go 2 and then over 3. You put your point. And then you draw your line. And put your arrows on. All right. I hope this helps you and kind of demystifies this for you. The Alex problems are great for practicing on this. I would recommend do as many of those as you can so that you get this down. All right. So you are a rock star at this. So good luck with these. There's one more video on doing an application problem, and then you'll be ready to do your homework.